Yo, it's your boy Dctree, and this is Dctree-Nation, the channel on YouTube that covers hoops and heroes. And today we're talking hoops. We're talking my San Antonio Spurs, y'all. And I got to tell you, man, if you're a fan of the channel, you know I'm a rather optimistic person, a very positive brother. But man, the Cavaliers, really? The Cavs? Come on, guys, man. We got to step our game up and not get blown out by the freaking Cleveland Cavaliers, man. That's ridiculous, man. That is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I can't even be positive about the loss because it shouldn't have happened. But I got 3 takeaways from this loss, and 3 takeaways that may not be as popular. You know, people don't necessarily like to hear me be negative. I've noticed that with some of my, latest videos, but I got to keep it real. I got to keep it real, man. This loss was uglier than the symbiote on Spider-Man 3. This loss was uglier than Crossbones from the MCU.
I think I look pretty good.
This loss was even uglier than Randy Watson's performance off of Coming to America.
Sexy chocolate.
And if you don't know, it don't get much uglier than that, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't get much uglier than Randy Watson. But before I jump too deep into it, if you like my content, please sub to the channel. Okay, like I said before, I'm usually a pretty positive guy, and this isn't a post to bash the Spurs. That's not what I'm going to do here. But I have to be realistic with some of the takeaways that I'm seeing from this team. Now, I will say they have been playing a lot of games in a short amount of time. The schedule has been bananas for this squad, and they just coming off a couple overtime losses. So I understand, it's a perfect storm here if they lost this game. But it's not so much that they lost, it's just the way they lost. Getting blown out by the Cavs and just having no-name players drop like 35 points. That's just ridiculous, man. So the first takeaway I get from this, and Pop mentioned this in the post game, that they look fried, but DeMar DeRozan looked fried as well. He looked like he didn't want to be there. You get what I'm saying? He looked like he's possibly already thinking about free agency. He's looking like he's ready to go. And I could be wrong. This could be premature. He could come back with fire these next few games on the road. Who knows? But as of this video, he just looks like he's somewhere else. The whole team looks like that, if we're being honest. But the problem with DeMar DeRozan feeling this way is because obviously the trade deadline is over, and he can walk. He can leave the Spurs. He can walk. We can lose him for nothing. And it's a lot of Spurs fans just kind of giving this guy a whole lot of slack because of this issue. But at the end of the day, he holds all the cards. He holds all the moves in this chess game. The Spurs have no leverage. The only leverage the Spurs have is to overpay this guy, to keep him, or maybe finesse a sign and trade if we're lucky. A lot of fans don't want DeRozan. A lot of fans feel like he's not enough. A lot of fans feels like he's a fake all-star. And I can't necessarily disagree completely, because I do not think he's a star player or like a central piece for a franchise. I don't feel that way. But at the same time, we're sitting around here acting like we got so many options. The free agency market isn't all that great this year. You get what I'm saying? So we have to really pump our brakes. So just seeing his performance tonight and his energy the last couple of games, this could really hurt us, Spurs Nation. Now, the rebuttal that I usually hear from DeMar DeRozan leaving kind of segues into my next point and my takeaway from this Cavs game and some of the other games. The argument people make is, hey, if he's gone, it frees up cap space. If he's gone, it gives our young players a chance to develop. It gives our young players more shots, yada, 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 which isn't necessarily wrong. But games like the Cavs game and these last few overtime games have kind of made me take a realistic look at our young players. I'm not going to say that they're overrated. We're not there yet. I'm not saying that because, potential can come out at any time. So I'm not going to say that. All right. But I will say this. They're really on some Forrest Gump type stuff where we don't really know what we have. Like, if you think about a player like Keldon Johnson, he's breaking some of these low-level records that D-Rob has, done and Duncan has done, as far as I think the 700 points or something like that. I can't remember the stat exactly. But then you think about it like, okay, does that mean he's going to be a potential all-star for this team? And sometimes he looks lights out, but then, he looks rather average for like 5-6 game stretch. So we don't really know what we have. And before you say it, this goes for every player on the team. This goes for my boy Murray. We don't know what we have. You get what I'm saying? Is he going to just be this player that's a good piece, that's a starter in this league, that's going to give us 16, 6, and 6 for the rest of his career? Or is he going to take that leap and be, an all-star candidate, or take that leap to be a defensive specialist, first all NBA, as far as defense is concerned? Is he going to do that, or is he going to stay here? Derek White, you guys always on me about Derek White, always. I'm a Derek White hater and yada, 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 which I'm not. I think he's a great piece. I want him to be on this team. I want him to be part of our backcourt. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder, where's the bubble D White that I always heard so much about? The guy who averaged 24 points per game. He has the ball and free reign tonight against the Cavs. This is your night to go off. And I'm not necessarily saying, hey, you got to drop 40 or something like that. That's ridiculous. But you should still have a good shooting game. You should still be explosive. You should still hit a three-pointer, at least one. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know if you got one late, because this thing was hard to watch. But it was pretty bad when I checked the box score. So, again, the young guys have potential. Derek White has potential. He had 29 the other night. Love to see that. Murray has had a couple triple doubles this season alone. Much potential. Keldon Johnson has been a beast, like the Hulk. I call him the Hulk all the time on the channel. Much potential. But at the end of the day, we're not exactly sure when and how this is going to work out, potentially. So when we say, hey, we got to get rid of DeRozan, he's not this, he's not that, he's not doing this, he's not good enough, he's horrible defensively, can we really make that decision, without any consequences? You get what I'm saying? We could lose DeRozan and be way worse than we are now. Or we can keep DeRozan and try to get a couple pieces so we're competitive. You see what I'm saying? I just don't want to take, 2 steps back just trying to give young guys more playing time if they're not going to produce. You get what I'm saying? And I get it. We still got Vassell in the wings. Maybe Vassell. This joker's a number 11 pick, and we play him like he's on a 10-day contract. The joker's minutes lower than a bow-legged caterpillar, man. Like, I don't know what's going on. So there's a whole lot of questions, man. And the third and final takeaway really isn't a takeaway at all. There's nothing original about this last point. I made a whole other video about it a couple days ago, but I'm going to say it again. And that video got like 3 views, but I'm still going to stress this point. The Spurs have lost their defensive identity. The Spurs have lost their defensive tenacity. They have lost their defensive, prowess, man. Popovich used to demand these guys to play defense every possession. Used to get on every possession. Now, maybe he can't do that because of personnel. I get that. You get what I'm saying? So this isn't really a takeaway blaming anyone. It's really a takeaway stating the obvious. The Spurs have to get back to playing defensive basketball, because at the end of the day, the Spurs the team does not have superstar talent. That's just a fact. We don't have a LeBron. We don't have an Anthony Davis. You get what I'm saying? We don't have the it player on this squad. And so because you don't have the it player, you have to make up with your deficiencies with the defensive end of the basketball, with the basketball IQ. The Spurs used to pride themselves on making minimum mistakes. defensively, offensively, and that's what kept them in the game. You see what I'm saying? The Spurs have to get back to that. Now that's easier said than done. All these young guys, still learning the system and the game and learning their games and their capabilities and whatnot. So like I said before in a few videos before, we can't be too angry at this year. We can't be too angry at this team because we weren't going to win a championship. Going to the first round of the playoffs, deep in the first round, would have been very satisfying this year. It's still a possibility, but so I can't get upset with them if they miss the playoffs, or upset with them if they're losing to the Cavs. I mean, I'm making a video about it in my disappointment, but at the end of the day, inconsistency is part of gaining consistency at some part. This is all learning curve. This is all growing pains. These things are supposed to happen. These things are normal for most of the NBA, most of the league. 20, 25 teams go through this same idea. Think about the Sacramento Kings. Think about the New York Knicks. Think about the Charlotte Hornets, and back in the day when the Bobcats, before the buzz of LaMelo Ball and all this stuff. Teams are 500. Teams are scrapping their way into the playoffs. That's just the reality of the Spurs, because we don't have a Tim Duncan, a David Robinson, a Kawhi. You get what I'm saying? A major franchise player to, cover our mistakes. You get what I'm saying? And that's just the bottom line. Guys, is it for this one. Just a video, just venting a little bit on the Spurs current situation. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about all of this. Are we going to be able to turn it around? Do you think we're going to miss the playoffs? And then if missing the playoffs, is it 1,000% a bad thing? Maybe we get one of those, great picks in the 2021 draft. You get what I'm saying? It's a lot of plus minuses dealing with a rebuilding year, and that's what this is. All right, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Check out the other videos on the channel. I ran a little long today, just venting. I'll catch you in the comments. Peace.